So it is Father's Day. Woo-hoo. So I mentioned in my email that one of the things that's happening in our culture is we're focusing a lot on the shadow side of the masculine, and I think sometimes it can get overwhelming. Last week we talked about the yin-yang symbol, and it's that harmony of the opposites. So if we look at it as the light side and the dark side, I think we've gotten really, and it needs to happen, I'm not saying it's bad, but it can be overwhelming where the focus on the shadow side of the masculine has gotten so intense that it's becoming out of harmony, it's becoming out of balance. So part of the intention for today's talk is to bring it back into balance, to recognize the face of God in the divine masculine and how essential and what a gift the divine masculine is in all of our lives. I also look at the yin-yang symbol. It could be the masculine and feminine side. And so I want to look at that first, very, 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 very briefly in history, just to bring us up to date and realize that perhaps it has been more in harmony than we realize. I think I'm struck by this because I was just reading, skimming a book that recently came out, and it's in honoring the divine feminine and women over the years, and the book kept talking about the patriarchy, and it was very angry, clearly, at this patriarchy for all these hundreds, could even say thousands of years. And I was thinking, well, we can't have it both ways. We can't say that there is a divine love intelligence that is evolving this planet for its highest good, and that it's a happy accident, or not happy, an accident that the masculine energy has been in the forefront of leading. So either we think all the men in all these different cultures and different times all got together and say, how can we oppress the feminine as best as we possibly can? Or perhaps there was a divine design as to why for so many years the masculine has been leading in the past this evolutionary force forward. And if we start looking at, instead of feeling blame, which really never helps any of us, to say that it could be for the good. So that's one thing, that I believe that their love intelligence, there are no accidents. So if the masculine energy has been leading evolution for so long, that there was a good idea around it. There was a divine intelligence behind it. And I also think that divine feminine has been just as powerful. But the yin-yang, so the light side is the part that which we see. So the masculine energy is that which is visible. They're in the leadership positions, they're in the culture. But who's at home with the kids? Who's the one raising how people feel about themselves, how they view the world? Who has the biggest impact? What's the greatest joke? When you go to therapy, who's the person you blame the most? It's the mom. Because that feminine energy has such an emotional, mental, physical impact on how we view ourselves and our world. So remember I said at the beginning of the month or sometime that I had a world religions professor who talked about the masculine energy comes in through the front door and announces itself and says, this is what's true. And the feminine energy comes in through the back door, fills the whole house, but people don't see it. That's the invisible side. There's the visible and the invisible. And so my feeling is that the feminine energy has been just as powerful over these thousands of years. I don't know if we've been quite as oppressed as we think that we have been, because first of all, I don't think that helps me to look at feminine energy as being that weak. That there has been a power, but it's just been invisible. It's been behind the scenes. It's been cultivating and nurturing and creating communities and families and speaking words of belief and thoughts into all our children who then grow up to be adults. So I think that's the way we've been up until now. I do think there's been more harmony than we realize. It hasn't been quite out of balance as sometimes we perceive it. And times are changing. One of the things that Ken Wilber talks about when he talks about evolution, he says we make a mistake when we hold where we are now in evolutionary standards to the times of the past. We've evolved since then. We're not the same people back then. So to hold our standards now to the past is inaccurate and unfair. But we have evolved. So now we're here. And now, these last elections, more women have stepped up into positions of leadership than ever before. Women are moving more and more into the visible, into the light. Excuse me. I want to be also clear. I know this in my head, but we have to say it out loud. Masculine and feminine energy is in all of us. Generally, the male form has more masculine energy and the feminine form has more feminine energy, but that varies. And basically, we all have it, and it's all about degrees. So I keep saying women, but I want to say feminine energy, masculine energy, to recognize, because this is a dance we're doing inside of ourselves, too. It's not just out there. It's our own dance of how we are with those energies within ourselves. More feminine energy is stepping into positions of leadership and being willing to be seen. That's beginning to shift. The masculine energy is feeling a little bit wobbly, disoriented, because the way that's been harmonizing for all these years is changing. And so we need to look at, so that we now have the shadow side, as the feminine energy is coming more to the light. We're saying, oh, well, now they're speaking up, the Me Too, this isn't okay. Black Lives Matter, speaking up. It's time to start speaking up for those things that were hidden, that were hurtful. But we can't lose the masculine energy. I remember I had this experience of the divine feminine in the 90s, and then I started doing all these women's groups. And it was really revelational, because I grew up with around mostly male energy. And because of that, I always had a lot of male friends, because I was just comfortable with it. So being in New Thought churches was new for me, because it was so feminine-oriented. And I was in all these women's groups, and I loved it at first, and it was opening me up and seeing things I hadn't seen before and having these really open, honest dialogues of how women are with each other. But then I'm like, I miss the male energy. And so I started, and I think women feel that in general. I mean, I put in my email, but for those of you who didn't get a chance to read the email, there was a woman who's in leadership posted, and she said she was joking. Later on, she didn't say it in her post. All men should just step aside out of all leadership positions and let women take over. You've messed it up for hundreds of years. Let us take our shot at it. And when I read it, because it's social media, I didn't see that as a joke. I thought, because I know the person too. And so I said, well, that seems very out of balance. I don't know, I said something. And then she said, well, I was joking, but there's truth to what I was saying. And I felt, well, this is out of balance. I don't want, in the yin-yang, you all know the yin-yang symbol, there's a little bit of each in both sides of it. And when we start trying to be all one thing and blocking out a whole other thing, we're unhealthy. We know that's an unhealthy response. So today, I was thinking about, well, what is it about the masculine energy? And there's so much that is a blessing. So it wasn't about trying to figure it out. It was trying to figure out how to narrow it down. So I came up with 4 things that, for me, that I really value about masculine energy. I'm going to start with the big one first. Masculine energy is willing to put their life on the line for what they believe in, for who they care about. I forgot that I picked those readings, Michelle, about the man will go to death. I started crying because I was thinking, Jack, without a thought, would lay his life down for any one of you, but I know definitely for Jack, Julian, and I. He wouldn't even think about it. It wouldn't even be a thought. For me, it would be a thought. Isn't there a better way? Can't I call 911? But without a thought, he had a girlfriend, he was walking with her, and that's how he got shot, because she got attacked, and this person had a gun, he stops him and gets shot. He doesn't think about what, and I remember the story from when I was a child. My brother, who was in high school, think of high school boys, are not very mature, but he was walking down the street, and he saw these 2 guys walking up behind a woman, and he realized they were going to steal her purse, so he just went full speed, yelling at them, running at them, and they took off. And I remember my father saying, well, what were you going to do? I mean, there's 2 of them, there's one of you, they could have had a gun, they could have a knife. And he said, I didn't think about it. I just saw something bad was going to happen, and I acted. And that's the masculine energy. Women are more and more moving into the military, but in general, when we think of who's going to defend something through war, through something where you can lose your life, we generally look at the masculine. I grew up reading a lot of historical fiction because that was the energy of my family, and I was reading about Revolutionary War, Civil War. I didn't identify. I liked the stories. They were interesting, but I never put myself in the shoes of the soldiers. I put myself in the shoes of the nurses, which is a very different identity. My brothers put themselves in the shoes of the soldiers. They always had this feeling, if we're called, I'm answering that call. That's a powerful thing. That sense of whether it's for people that you love, a cause that you believe in, principles, willing to stand up and give your life. We know, the feminine energy knows that, and we're grateful. So I start with the big one first. Get that one. Okay. Masculine energy is willing to give their life, to willing to die for what they believe in and care about deeply. Masculine energy loves to fix things. And that gets like the biggest joke now. That women want to share their feelings and men was like, we want to fix it. And we make that into a joke, but my goodness, what if we didn't have people who got things done? If we didn't have people who the masculine energy is focused, it is disciplined. When it decides something is important and it's going to get it done. And so many times, I've told some of you this before in classes, when my first center, there was an all-men's group, and they had, first of all, they were very clear about not letting women join, and they were very clear about their rules. We will give each other advice. We will tell each other what we can do. None of this, like, you don't cross boundaries. And we like to do things. We do not want to spend our time sitting around sharing feelings. So they started creating projects around our community to do, and that brought great joy. There's that deep caring for life, the masculine energy cares deeply about this world, and that's what drives the desire to fix, to do, to make things happen, is this desire to make the world a better place. Masculine energy acts, and what a gift it is when we have that masculine energy. We have the masculine energy here, just stepping up. I was thinking about it because I saw Jack and Jeff up here. Every Sunday they're here. They have full weeks. They're here Sunday. And Jeff is gone every week, Monday through Friday, every single week. He still does all our treasurer work. He's not here, but he taps into our board meeting through the computer. He's got one full day, Saturday, and then to himself. Then he's here on Sunday, playing music, giving his light, and then he's back to San Diego. He's leaving today, back to San Diego. That's this masculine energy of whatever's going on. It doesn't mean they don't have emotions. It doesn't mean there aren't feelings, but there's something that needs to be done, and I'm going to do it. I've made a commitment. Jack was like on his deathbed yesterday, but he's still playing the music for the wedding ceremony, and there was no way I was going to stop him. This is what I do. The feminine energy might share a lot of feelings, and this is one of the areas of growth, I think, for the feminine energy, which is sometimes we get so involved in our emotions that someone in a leadership position was just writing about this, that women often spend a lot of time pulling back from leadership because we feel like we need to be healthy and everything has to be working out. Men can have emotions, but they're still going to show up, and they're still going to do the work. And they can even be wrong, and they don't care. They're going to still show up. But I love that. I love that they just stand and go, I'm going to do it. The masculine energy, what a blessing. And that leads into the third one, which is presence. I asked a friend of mine, I said, right now, what is important to you in your masculine form in the world? Or I can't remember how I phrased the question. And he said, for him, the most part is to keep showing up, to keep being present with what's showing up and not hide, not go away, to be able to speak his truth if it's helpful, be conscious of what he's saying, but basically to keep just showing up and being present. The masculine energy, this comes from David Data, who does a lot of work with masculine and feminine energy. He talks about feminine energy is very emotional. It's very voluptuous, it's beautiful and expressive, and that's where so much of art is it's emoting and expressing. And masculine energy is much more calm. It's even keel. It's not going to go highs and it's not going to go real low. It's just going to be steady and calm. And I was thinking, in our world today, I think there's actually a lot of feminine energy out there happening right now. There's just a lot of emotion, isn't there, happening about everything? It's like one thing after another that's happening. It's this, it's this, and then it's this, and it just becomes like this constant state of being. And I'm thinking, maybe we need to cultivate a little bit more masculine energy, just the calmness. Okay, let's just be. Let's be present. Let's not get thrown out by all these deep emotions. Yes, they're happening, but there's peace. So David Data talks about the masculine energy, and he's training men to stay in that peace but not walk away, because sometimes the way in the past the masculine energy is to stay in that peace, they shut the door. It's like, shh. And he's saying, no, you have to be able to stay present with the emotion, but still stay present. A lot of spirituality is actually very masculine. If you look at the values of Buddhism, or just, I was just reading Thich Nhat Hanh, and just don't get angry, don't get sad, just be still. That's a very masculine way of being, and we need it. Because we can see if the emotions just keep going. That's why actually the feminine energy is drawn to the masculine energy. What David Data talks about is there is a trust that the feminine energy has for the masculine energy, that the masculine energy isn't going to get all freaked out by you being freaked out. So often if women go to other women, it gets worse. You're having an emotional, oh, I know, that's terrible, da, 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 da. And sometimes I'm not saying that's bad. We need that. We need some validation and feel that resonance of feeling. But you go to the masculine energy and they'll just go, yep. Feel something! But it's also why we like it, because it calms us down. It brings the energy and the intensity, and the world's going to end. I was thinking about Reverend Michael, who's the minister at Agape, which is a spiritual community in Los Angeles. I can't ever imagine, because Agape is a very artistic, we're in LA, just artistic place. There's a lot of emotions and expression going on everywhere. And I don't think in all the years that I've known him, he's ever gone, oh my gosh, that's terrible. I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe he said that. He just would never respond to that way. Just calm, peaceful. Doesn't mean he doesn't get caught up in it, but he won't emotionally react. He'll just be present with it. Okay. And he might ask a few questions. He'll go pray about it. Things start shifting, because it's not like he ignores it, but he just responds from a really being peaceful place. And that's masculine energy. And that's why feminine energy, that's why David Data says what feminine energy is looking for in masculine energy is that energy that they can trust. That I can go, and Jack's going to go, that's the masculine energy being that place. And we need that in our culture. Because I think personally, I didn't even think about it, so I was thinking about this talk. It feels like we've gone a little bit off the rails with the intensity of emotions in our culture. And we need a little bit, let's bring it all down a notch. Let's just go. Things can get resolved at that place. I see it with Reverend Michael. It's not that he's not dealing with it. He's not ignoring it. He's not doing spiritual bypass. He'll deal with it, but in a much calmer, peaceful place. That's the masculine energy. It's presence. It's stillness. It's an even keelness. It's just not going to get flustered. My oldest brother reminds me the most of this. He's just the most even keel guy ever. He just does not get flustered. Anyway, that even keel steadiness, masculine energy. So masculine energy are willing to give up, lay down their lives for what they care about, for who they care about, what they believe in. Masculine energy is willing to do, to get done what needs to get done. Masculine energy is even keel. It's steady. It's open. It's not shut, the positive side, but it's steady. And lastly, the masculine energy that I love and value, the 4 that I came up with, was masculine energy. It's very playful. One thing I grew up, now I have to admit I'm not always, I don't have a good balance because I grew up with 3 brothers, so I didn't grow up with 3 sisters, so I can't compare. But I do know that we played all the time. Everything was a game. If we're standing there waiting for our parents to get to the car, oh, look, there's a tree. Who can hit the tree with a stone? And the next thing, we're all trying to hit the trees with our stones. We're picking up every stone. But there's never a moment where we're just sitting, even with Julian, we got to get to the car. Who can get there faster? Well, I don't even have to ask. Hey there. Every time we get to the car, you always have to hit it first. I win to the door. So I can't help but get caught up in it. So I'm like, it just makes more fun, right? Everything, your room's messy. Do you think you can clean it up in the next half an hour? Bam, gets them going. And it's fun. That's what we played games inside, outside. I remember playing in the outside in the neighborhood, and a lot of times the girls would sit on the side and talk. And I remember thinking, why would they want to do that? It's so much more fun to play the games. That sense of play, That's the way I think masculine energy expresses a lot of emotion through sports, all that, but it's fun. There's a playfulness to it, and we need to play in this world. We can get so that's where everything gets so serious. It's like, let's lighten up and have a good time, no matter what. In the daily routine of life, can you get your room clean? Can just make everything into a game. It makes life so much more fun. So the blessing of the masculine. The masculine energy in our life that is in this room, in all of us. And I want to give special thanks to the men and the fathers. They're willing to lay down their life for us without thinking, without analyzing it. It's just instinctual for those who they care about, for beliefs, for principles. Masculine energy is going to get stuff done. Masculine energy is going to show up and be present and get stuff done. Masculine energy is going to have fun. It's going to play. And if there's no play involved in this, it's going to lose interest after a while, because play is actually pretty key, pretty important. If you're not having fun at somewhere along the line, then they might tune out a little bit. So what I'd like to do is invite our men up forward. I know, don't roll your eyes there, Roger. One time, just one time, come on. All our men up here. Be visible, yeah.
Some of y'all should take a picture of this.
Oh, here we go.
You didn't tell us about the data about the girls talking to death.
About what?
Women talking to death and men like.
Oh, no, that wasn't someone else. No. Okay. I know, isn't it great? Yeah, that's crazy, yeah. I'm going to sit down so I'm not in front. I don't want to stand in front of people. All right, so we're going to put our hands out. We're going to bless you, and you all have to receive, and it's going to be the hardest thing to receive because we know you like to be the one doing it. So this is going to be hard. Beloved men, thank you. We see you. We love your ability to play. You make life more fun. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being present with us. Thank you for being steady and trustable. We trust you. Thank you for fixing things. We are so grateful that you get things done. We are so grateful that you are men of action. And we are so grateful that you would give your lives for us. And for the things that you believe in. We love you with all our hearts. We bless you. And we thank God for you. Happy Father's Day. I told him. What? All right, so let's pray. Let's stand in that grace. And for those of you, or all of us, for her fathers are still on this side of the veil, or men in your life, it doesn't matter. The men in your life, make sure you go home and thank them, or give them an email, give them a call. Let's spread the gratitude. the light of the divine masculine. Thank you, Father God, infinite and eternal presence, that which always is, that is steady and unchanging, that is constant and stable, that doesn't come and doesn't go. It is always what it is in every moment. It simply is. It is love without wavering. It is peace without wavering. It is bliss without wavering. It is goodness without wavering. It is purity of heart without wavering. It is a strength that all form can count on, can lean into, to rest into this infinite and eternal, unchanging presence that is in, through, and as all creation and transcends all creation. And how grateful I am to know that this presence and this power, this absolute essence, is at the essence of who and what each of us is. That we are each this infinite oceanic presence of pure beingness, of the isness of all life. And we can count on this. We can lean into it in every moment of every day. We can let go of the form, of our emotions, of our fears, of our anger or jealousy, or even where the ecstatic gets overwhelming, and we just can surrender it all into that blissful peace, that harmonious essence of just being. What a gift. And as we know this for our own individual lives, we know this for this entire planet, that this presence is not in any fear about what's happening in our world today. It is not constricting. It is not judging. It is not condemning. It is not punishing. It is not rewarding some people and punishing others. It is consistently present through every atom and cell, every aspect of our beautiful earth, and all its unfolding, all these cultural, societal unfoldings. It just stays steady, pure, and unchanging. And all earth, all planets, all stars, all galaxies upon galaxies can lean into the infinite oceanic beingness and presence. What a joy and what a release. We hold this for the people in our lives where sometimes the difficulties and challenges seem overwhelming. We hold that this infinite goodness of love and peace and joy is right there in the midst of it. This steadiness, this constant strength that is always willing to serve us, that is always willing to be in action to serve our healing presence. It is always with us, healing us, revealing and giving itself completely, 100%, all that it is, all that life is, it is willing to give for our healing, for our returning to wholeness and perfection. So let's just bask for a moment in this blissful peace of being. There is so much healing happening even in this beautiful stillness. We trust it. We give thanks for it. We give thanks for the men in our life, for the masculine energy in our life inwardly and externally. We give thanks to our own fathers if they served us in a conscious and light way. For the parts that were bright and good and helped us become better people, let us give thanks to our fathers. Let us give thanks to the men in our worlds, whether it's in our family, in our communities, in our work life, friends, in the past, in the present, and even those in the future. Let's give thanks for that masculine energy that is a gift and say thank you. With our hearts open into infinity, we are grateful, we are grateful, we are grateful. And I invite us all to say together now, and so it is. Amen and amen.